Bristol State House, built in 1816 on High Street, sits on Bristol's town common. It was the site of Bristol's first meeting house in 1684. 100 years later, the meeting house was replaced by a school. In the 1800s, Rhode Island had a state house for each of its 5 counties. This was the 5th to be built. It was originally unpainted brick, but was later painted to look like stone with brownstone trim. Some architectural features are the triple sash windows on the 2nd floor, the Roman arch with Gothic arches inside and balustrade above the front door, and a bell tower at the top, as well as coins that are decorative on all 4 corners. The figure on the fountain in front of the State House is not a devil. It is Bacchus, the god of wine. When the fountain was operational, water flowed from the Bacchus' mouth, and the top of the fountain was open so that horses could drink from it.
The First Baptist Church was built in 1814 and has many interesting architectural features. Over the main entrance, there is a very nice triangular pediment, and it's held up by 4 Ionic columns. Each of the arches in the tower has a classic rounded Roman arch, which has a keystone in the top of each. The tower also has Ionic pilasters on each of the 4 corners. Beneath those pilasters are a set of coins. The windows of the Baptist Church are Gothic arches, pointed arches, but the windows that are contained within the pointed arches are actually round arch Roman windows that have pointed arches within them. So it's where the 2 styles of the pointed and the rounded arch work together. On either side of the entrance, there are some nice clues to learning about the Baptist Church. There are 2 plaques. The first mentions the name of the building and tells you the year it was built. Over on the other side, there is an additional plaque that tells you the year that the building was renovated, 1882. Part of that renovation was to change the front of the building. Originally, there were 3 entrances across the front. There was the main entrance that we see there that still exists, and on either side was an additional entrance which in 1882, during the renovation, were closed in.
The Whalley School on High Street was built in 1896. It was designed by the famous Rhode Island architect William Walker. He also designed Warren's Town Hall and Library. The center pavilion has the decorative brownstone coins of the colonial revival. The entrances have Romanesque arches. The heavy cornice bracketing at the top reflects the Italianate style. The brown terracotta dedication plaque in the center is a good example of late 19th century public school design. On the top of the building, there is also a cupola or bell tower, and there are coins on all corners of the building.
The Gutierrez House at 281 High Street was built in 1824. It's a pretty substantial house made primarily of stone, and probably its most interesting historical fact is that it didn't start out as a house at all. It actually started out as a barn. And if you look at it a little bit more closely, you'll be able to see that the part of the building that surrounds the front door is actually made out of different stones than the remainder of the building. They're much more evenly shaped, much more regularly shaped, rectangular stones, where the other parts of the building are not quite as regularly shaped. And those large stones, the ones that are surround the doorway, that are a slightly different color than the rest of the building, filled in the large area that was originally the barn door. The building has some other interesting architectural features. It has a tripartite window over the main entrance, and that just means it's a window that's made in three parts. There's a small window on either side of a larger window. And then the doorway itself contains some very nice transom, which is the window that's over the door, and the side lights on either side of the door that were intended to let light into the hallway before there was electricity. The front steps are made of granite, and those would have been added at the time that the building was renovated.
This is the DeWolf Gutierrez house on High Street, built in 1830. The house was originally built for a member of the DeWolf family. It was later purchased by Ramon Gutierrez. He gave the money to build Gutierrez School in honor of his mother. The decorations added to this house in 1887, including the octagonal tower, transformed it from a typical Greek Revival house to a more whimsical stick-style house. This is the First Congregational Church of Bristol on High Street. The church was built in 1855. The church was founded in 1680, and it is the oldest congregational church in Rhode Island. The congregation once met in the Bosworth House in front of Gutierrez School, and then had churches in several other locations in Bristol before this church was built in 1855. Notice the many Gothic arches and doors in this church building.